All right, I am happy to be joined with the CEO of Small Pharma, Peter Rands joins us. Peter, welcome to the Dales Report. How are things?
Great, Chad. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Yeah, it's great to finally connect with you. We've been watching your story a little bit recently, but it's been a month in since being listed on the TSX Venture. I wanted to ask, how do you think things have performed in the first 30 days? And most importantly, what do you think investors should get excited about pertaining to Small Pharma?
Okay, well, so yeah, we're about 5 weeks in now since listing. We came into a pretty choppy market, start of May.
We're turning though, Peter. We're turning though.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's turning. No, I mean, sell in May, go away, but
yeah, I hear you.
June now.
Yeah. But I think things are actually looking a little bit promising. But, as we have you on, we obviously have had a lot of conversations with different companies in the space, and everybody's obviously trying to pick their lane. Small Pharma appears to be focusing primarily right now on DMT. As I look at this, although DMT works on similar brain receptors as psilocybin and has similar safety profiles as psilocybin, DMT actually has not attracted nearly as much attention from a drug development with a lot of companies in their attempts to bring a psychedelic drug to market. Why do you think that is? And what's the message that you want to communicate to the psychedelic investor audience?
Well, okay, so I think it was natural that psilocybin would get the bulk of the early interest because psilocybin was a much more researched molecule at the kind of end of the last decade when companies started taking a look at this. DMT was not an unknown compound. It had been the subject of scientific study and a couple of clinical trials, but DMT as a monotherapy had never been thoroughly or kind of studied in a clinical trial.
Right.
And we identified an opportunity to complement some of the other products in development for depression with a DMT-based molecule. There are a couple of other companies that spotted opportunities around about the same time, and I mean, this is kind of a race to the finish line. And once you're in the clinic, then you've got an advantage.
Yeah, of course. Well, one thing I've learned through various conversations is that, as we said, one major advantage DMT has had over psilocybin is it's the overall duration of the high. It's more intense, with effects lasting actually only up to about 30 minutes in comparison to psilocybin, which can last, let's say, 6 hours or longer. So saying this, do you think the market has overlooked the advantages of DMT, basically with its offset in times and its potential potential use in outpatient therapeutic settings?
Yeah, so I think the market will probably kind of take its time to, build out the hierarchy of therapeutic opportunity in DMT and other compounds. But it does seem like, once all of the potential for psilocybin has been established, markets probably will start looking at short-acting psychedelics with a lot more interest, and I think DMT will be at the forefront of that.
You do think that in due time DMT will be at the forefront, if not the leading compound within the psychedelic space?
The reason we think that DMT could be a platform for the best-in-class medicine is around its scalability in the clinical setting.
Right.
So, I mean, really, there are two main aspects to that. The kind of the number of times you can treat someone in a particular period of time, and the number of times you can treat that particular person in a course of treatment. And with DMT, both of those can be optimized to a greater level than psilocybin, which can only be administered during an 8-hour session and can only be administered once in that session.
Right. Well, there's lots of proof on the potential. Back in April, GH Research Ireland, which is a which researching at DMT analog, which is 5-MEO-DMT, raised $125 million, which is one of the biggest financings in industry history. This is big, Peter. So saying this, do you think this event raised eyebrows in terms of the potential that DMT has compared to psilocybin, which is, been receiving a lot of attention, as I said before?
We'll see. I think, I mean, one thing I am at pains to emphasize to anyone looking to invest in small pharma is that we are focused on DMT, which is a separate therapeutic with a different profile to 5-methoxy-DMT. And whilst there's inevitably going to be some comparisons as analogs in the brain, these analogs work very, very differently.
Right.
That said, both 5-methoxy-DMT and DMT are short-acting psychedelics. So in that sense, I think what GH Research has done with their Series B financing and with a successful float on the NASDAQ, they can, they will definitely be shining the spotlight on short-acting psychedelics. And any investor looking at that company should be looking at us as well.
Yeah, of course, you stand to benefit from that. So let's focus now on deliverable and execution. Small Pharma recently announced an expansion of its phase 2A trial, which adds an additional study site. As a result, projected top-line results have been moved up to the first half of 2022. This could make Small Pharma the first public company to announce a phase 2 results from a DMT-focused study. So how has the leadership position amplified your profile with investors?
Well, it's all about phase 2 data now.
Right.
I think every investor has kind of, identified the potential, the companies with potential top-line data, and bringing our study and the results of our study forward by approximately 6 months into the first half of 2022 is going to bring forward a lot of investor conversations that may have been placed elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, if you're sitting in a group of investors and you want to get your message through to people, let's say over the next 3 to 6 months, you're trying to obviously explain to people the vision of the company, what the direction you're going to, why people should get excited. What would your message be to that audience?
Okay, well, Small Pharma was established to make medicines. And over the last 6 years, we've developed a pioneering position in the development of psychedelic-assisted medicines. It's a long journey. We're kind of still pretty early. So get to know us. Watch what we do.